Aaron Blanchfield's taking on Macy Barber next weekend. Today I'm going over my predictions on the whole entire card. I've got a big video dropping hopefully around this week. It's going to be talking about my most anticipated Dana White Contender Series prospects that are going to be fighting on this season. I'm very excited for Dana White Contender Series. Hopefully, I'll be able to break down the fights. I can't guarantee I'll be able to break down every week, but we'll see what happens, man. Anyways, let's hop right into this card. Pretty solid card. Some decent fights, but overall, not great. The first fight up, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even watching this fight. I'm not watching film. I'm not breaking it down. I'm picking the favorite. Amanda here. Wait, who's the favorite? Rayanne Dos Santos. They don't even have her name right, man. Anyways, I'll pick Dos Santos. We'll move on to a solid scrap. I like this fight. I actually think this is going to be an exciting one in the lightweight division. Marquel Mederos is returning. He just fought Austin Hubbard at UFC, Mexico City. And he's taking on Bolaji, who had to pull out of his last fight, and I can't remember who against who. But Mederos is 2-0 in the UFC, win over Landon Quinones, win over Austin Hubbard. Both those guys not the best. Quinones is 0-2 in the UFC. Hubbard's, he won one fight in the UFC? One or two fights out of like 7? Not great. But he got a win over both of them, and I would still consider both of these fights hairy performances a little bit. Bolaji on the other end has got a win over Timmy Kwamba, which is pretty good. I think highly of Kwamba now is up a weight class. And I didn't think Oki looked that great in that fight. And if he fights like that, he'll probably lose against Mederos because Mederos is going to get ahead with the volume. But if he does fight like he did against Duncan, I can see him having success. And I say that because I don't like the striking defense of either of these guys. I think both of these guys get hit often, but I like the forward pressure that Bolaji brings. Marquel Mederos is a guy who kind of wants to be in the middle, use his footwork. He kind of has that Yusuf Zalal style a little bit. He's not as good, though, not as fluid. But Mederos is there to be hit. And Oki's fast. He's explosive. He's also not great striking defense. You know, this guy's hands are low. I could see him getting cracked, but he's got quick, straight shots. He's got a straight right hand that's a bullet. He's fast. He's explosive. When it comes to the grappling side of things, I don't think either guy holds a big enough advantage to take it to the mat and dominate. You know what I mean? I think we might see some, but overall it should be a striking match. And I think that Mederos could have some success because I think he might be able to win the volume battle. I don't exactly know who averages the most. Okay, I guess not. Mederos averages less significant strikes, but that doesn't seem like that's the case in my opinion. But Bolaji, he looked good against Duncan. You know, came out explosive. It just ran into a guillotine, and it happens. But I'm going to go with Oki here. I think he's got to get a big win here. He's explosive. He's fast. He's dangerous. His cardio seems to be pretty good. And I think if he's able to put this guy, Mederos, on the back foot, which he does pretty well, you know, I expect him to win this fight. He's got a nice, stiff jab as well. But if he fights behind that reach, I think he wins this fight. Mederos is going to look to get the leg kicks going, win the volume match, but I think he gets hit way too much. You've seen Landon Quinones be able to absolutely land a lot of clean shots. Bolaji much better than Landon Quinones. So I'm going to pick Oki by KO or decision, but I want to say that this fight doesn't go the distance. I think this is going to be an exciting one for sure. But I like Oki here. And like I said, KO or decision. Let's move on. Oh, man. Kurt Holobaugh taking on Jordan Leavitt. This fight isn't great. You know, Jordan Leavitt's going to be favorited at -162, and it's for a reason where it is really on Kurt Holobaugh's takedown defense at 39%. Kurt Holobaugh, you know, I'm a Kurt Holobaugh guy. You know, I thought he won his last fight versus Alexander Hernandez. I picked him to win that fight. I bet on him to win that fight. A lot of people thought he won that fight, including myself. I thought he won the first, and I think it was the third round. Holobaugh's a dog, man. He is a dog. The issue is the takedown defense. It always has been. Ogden dominated him. And, you know, Jordan Leavitt has a win over Trey Ogden. I don't really like looking at that kind of stuff because the matchup is completely different. But we have seen Kurt Holobaugh controlled a lot. Now, Jordan Leavitt, I don't think his control is incredible. It's definitely good. It's pretty solid. And it's also his takedowns aren't that explosive. His takedowns aren't like Trey Ogden's, right? His wrestling's not that good. It's when he gets you to the ground, his submission threat. And Leavitt will kick on the feet. He's got decent kicks, whatever. But, you can pretty much expect those to be taken away because Holobaugh's coming right after him, right after his head. He typically fights like that. Now, it's a gift and a curse because he's going to be able to push Jordan Leavitt back. He's going to be able to land his shots, but then he might get taken down, right? It's a tight fight. Do I ride with Kurt one more time? Because I can see a side where both guys win, but there's so much dog in Kurt. And I don't think Leavitt's gas tank's that great. You know, if you go back and watch some of his fights, the Ogden, he looks tired quite often. You know, he hasn't gotten finished or been knocked out before, but he also hasn't fought anybody that's going to be coming after him this much, right? That if he's not able to neutralize Kurt on the ground, you know, it's probably not going to look good. So Kurt has good jiu-jitsu. He just doesn't stuff takedowns. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens here. I'm going to ride with Kurt one more time, man. 38 years old. I'm riding with Holobaugh one more time. I think his contract's on the line here. I think he's got to come out with a win, and we'll see if he's able to do it. I'm going with Kurt, man. I think he'd get a late finish. So I'm going to go with Kurt, and we'll move on to the next fight. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Oban Elliott. I'm going to be honest. I'm not an Oban Elliott fan or believer, right? I don't think this guy's good. Minus 700, I'm seeing on some books, is insane. Like, this guy, like, the matchup is favorable for him, and I am going to pick him to win. But Oban Elliott is not a killer, you know. He's, 3-0 in the UFC? Every single fight has been a favorable matchup for him. Like a matchup where he should win. You're a decent striker, but you're matched up against pure wrestlers that aren't good strikers. Preston Parsons, Basil Hafez, Ramiz Brahimaj, all these guys, Val Woodburn are, bro, can I even put Val Woodburn in that list? He's just not, he got hurt. Oban Elliott almost got finished by Val Woodburn, by the way. But anyways, this is my point here. I don't think highly of Elliott. You go watch some of his performances. He doesn't do that much. You know, in the fight versus Hafez, a little bit low volume. Not doing much, you know, sitting there at range, lost the first round because he wasn't landing anything clean, landing any hard shots, right? He's not a guy that I think is ever going to look 600 in the UFC, ever. You know what I mean? For me, it's not going to be Oban Elliott like a lock or a parlay piece. Don't do it. You know, Brahimaj, not great. Wins coming over Mickey Gall. And he's got first-round finishes over guys that couldn't stuff a takedown. And Brahimaj, fast takedown entries, explosive, good BJJ. But, like, he ain't that good, you know. He gasses out. His striking's not great. Oban's the better striker, but the guy who's got more power is Brahimaj. And Oban Elliott's striking defense isn't that great. I'm going to pick Oban Elliott, but there's no way I'm laying minus 700. This guy's not good enough. You put him in front of anybody like a Gabriel Imagine what Gabriel Bonfim would do to Oban Elliott. Like, just think about it, right? It wouldn't be a close fight. Oban Elliott's he's not a great fighter. You know, I don't see this guy. I'm imagining they want to get him a top 15 spot. I just don't see it. I think Dalby walks through him. You know, he's just not all that good, so Brahimaj will be my pick. Or I'm sorry, Elliott will be my pick, but I don't like him. I don't think he's great. So probably, hopefully, my last time picking him. But anyways, let's move on. We got a top 5 bantamweight WMMA matchup. Ketlen Viera taking on Macy Chaisson. I like Ketlen Viera. I think she's actually pretty good. You know, she's coming off a loss to the new champ, probably Kayla Harrison. And she didn't look all that bad. Now, she's got great takedown defense, 88%. Chaisson is probably going to look to take this fight down to the mat. I don't like Chaisson's striking all that much. She seems a little bit fragile on the feet. You know, obviously I could reference the Irene Aldana up kick that finished her, which is insanity. But overall, man, Chaisson doesn't impress me with her striking. I think Ketlen's a better striker. You know, when you watch her past couple fights, Ketlen Viera's, she looks good on the feet. Like, I think that, you know, Chaisson, like I said, she looks fragile. I don't really like her all that much now. If you're gonna ask me how much film I watched for this fight, it's not a whole lot. But I do know a little bit about each lady, of course. Even in that last fight for Chaisson with Mario Buena Silva, she didn't really look that good, up until that doctor stoppage, right? She was kind of getting bullied in there. Ketlen Viera, to me, has that ability. Now, she's a great scrambler, only taken down by Kayla Harrison, 2 times? 2 times on 8 attempts, but got controlled when it got down to the mat. Kayla Harrison's a big lady. She's probably probably not close to my weight, but she's big. You know what I mean? So no shame in that. But I think that she's the better striker, and I think she's just better in this fight. I think Ketlen's had some issues with cardio maybe in the past. This is probably going to be a split decision, and I'm hoping it goes Ketlen's way. I'll go with Ketlen Viera. This fight's canceled, I think. Jeremiah Wells versus Gustaffson, and I liked Wells here, actually. I'll let you guys know. I think that Wells, when it comes, I'll give you a quick breakdown, because I always, when fights get canceled, I still watched shit for this fight, so Wells is actually I think he's physical as hell, and Gustaffson relies on that kind of physicality to go out there and, push you on the fence and do whatever he wants to you, essentially. If you go and watch some of the Gustaffson tape in the regional fights, he can be taken down. That's exactly what I expected Jeremiah Wells to do, is take Gustaffson down and control him. Wells is a good grappler, and I think that he would have dominated Gustaffson. Now, yeah, man, this was going to be one of my favorite underdogs for sure, was going to be Wells, but fight's canceled. Wells is out, is what it is. Now, this is one of my favorites, and that's going to be Allan Nascimento. Now, I'm pissed because Allan Nascimento was minus 125, and I was looking at him heavily. And now he is at minus 175. My book that I have to use, because I'm in the, a U.S. state that's not got affiliate, whatever, with the bigger books like Caesars or FanDuel or Hard Rock, whatever it is, DraftKings. I can't use those. So my book didn't have these lines, and it's frustrating because I email them all the time. I wanted to bet on Allan Nascimento at minus 125. I still think I'll probably bet on him, but minus 125 was looking good. Now, this matchup's very interesting, but there's a better grappler here clearly, and that's Nascimento. Now, Jafel Filho, he relies on his grappling so much that he doesn't really stuff takedowns. I don't know what his takedown. It's not great. He fought Muhammad Makayev and was taken down over and over. Allan Nascimento is not the craziest wrestler, but he will find ways to get you to the mat. And once he gets you there, I think he's better than Filho. Filho, he's obviously a grappler, and he's a good grappler at that, but I don't think he's as good as Allan, right? And Allan, he's got good kicks on the feet, and Filho can't just, he likes to run at people. He can't just do that to Nascimento, because Nascimento can take him down. So with that case, the matchup-wise, you're looking at a guy who wants to run forward, pressure you like he usually does to other people, because he kind of knows that nobody can really take him down because he's going to scramble and he's going to be the better grappler. But Allan is a better grappler than Filho. So if Filho starts running forward, then he's going to get taken down. And if Filho stands at range, Allan's going to kick him and be the better kicker at range. So that's how I see the fight going, and see some mat scrambles. But I like Allan in this matchup. I do like him a lot to win this fight, and I'm going to pick him here. I want to say by a decision. Filho probably isn't the easiest guy to submit, but Allan is so tricky and crafty. That fight with Tagir was just nutty. You could have given him the win there. It was a close fight. But anyways, let's move on to the next one, where we got Zachary Reese versus Dusko Todorovic. Reese makes me nervous, man. Minus 270. Just take this fight not to go the distance, guys. It's not going the distance. Just take it not to go the distance. You don't have to bet on either of these fellas. Dusko, he's a chaos kind of guy who's not great. He's got power in his hands. He's decent grappler. He's not good. He had that freak injury. I can't remember what it was. And then he comes back. Mansour Abdulmalik just dominates him in the first round. And now he's taking on Zach Reese, who got dominated by Bakoyev in the first round. Now, Reese, I think he's good, man. And I think he's the better kicker here for sure. Reese can kick, and he kicks like a fucking truck. You know what I mean? Watch the Medina fight where he's kicking. It sounds like he's kicking a heavy bag. You know what I mean? It's very loud. And Reese he's big. He's strong. Good BJJ. Might be taken down in this fight potentially. but he doesn't crash the pocket all that often. You know, he's not getting hit with big shots on the feet very often, and he's very powerful and explosive. I'm picking Zachary Reese here. It's a fight I'm not betting on other than fight not to go the distance as a parlay piece more than likely. But I like Reese here. This is literally a free play, guys. Go ahead and throw. Fight doesn't go the distance. It's free. You know what I mean? I don't know what the number is going to be, but even if it's minus 500, it's hitting. So I'm going to go Reese by a finish. I'm going to go by KO, head kick. I'm going to go by head kick KO for Zachary Reese. Let's move on to this fight where this is a tough one. Sorry. Very tough one to predict here, guys. You're looking at Dustin Jacoby, who is a minus 170 favorite who looked fucking terrible in his last fight. Don't put it any other way, okay? He looked awful against Vitor Petrino. Lost the first 2 rounds and didn't throw much out there, was getting wobbled. This is a guy like the Santiago Ponzinibbio where he's got some durability issues, for sure. You know what I mean? I'll never forget the Mederos fight. Piecing Mederos up, doing so good. Loses 2 rounds, probably outstruck Mederos by like 30 shots and defended every takedown, but he got dropped twice and lost because of that. Oh my gosh. Now, Lopes coming off a win over Gagiazulov. Pretty solid win. Did a lot of grappling. And I'll be really honest with you guys. I don't like Bruno Lopes at all. If you go and watch this guy's LFA fights before he fought Brenton Ribeiro on the Contender Series, you'd think Lopes is a killer. And if he still fought like that, I'd pick him to win. But that Ribeiro knockout changed him. You know what I mean? You watch any of this guy's fights after that, he's not the same guy. You know, watch the fight if you want to, of course. Watch the fight previous, it's on Fight Pass, to when Bruno Lopes fought Ribeiro. I don't remember who he fought, but this guy, you should see him. He's coming forward, heavy on the gas, jabbing, you know, right in his face, throwing big sharp combinations in the pocket. He doesn't fight like that anymore, and I think the knockout might have changed him because he got knocked the fuck out by Ribeiro. And he doesn't look confident on the feet, man. But he could just land one shot and hurt Jacoby and win the round. That's my problem here. Jacoby might get taken down here, but Jacoby is good at getting up. His takedown defense, I know, probably not as good as you'd want it, but he is good at getting up. So, urgent to get up. I think Jacoby wins, man. You know, Jacoby should have beat Khalil Roundtree. Robbery, bro. And everybody wants to glaze Khalil Roundtree like he's going to beat Jamal Hill. He lost to Dustin Jacoby. Like, clearly. Okay? I got to go Jacoby here, man. I don't like it. I'll probably bet Lopes by KO. Or I'll probably just bet this fight to end by KO. But I could see. Actually, no, I won't. I'll go Jacoby decision. Jacoby, he's still good. He's talented. He's got great footwork. You know, he can dance around Lopes. Lopes is slow. Very slow. And you'll notice that immediately that Lopes is not going to be nearly as fast. But you guys got to watch it just so you can understand kind of what I'm saying, right? Watch that fight and you'll realize kind of what I mean about Bruno Lopes, how he looked before he got knocked out by Ribeiro. But anyways, man, Jacoby will be my pick here by decision. I think he wins 29-28, probably getting rocked in the process and hurt by something. So this is a no bet for me. I'll probably, stay away from this completely unless it's Lopes KO and unless the number looks very good and my camera is blurring out. Apologize. It'll get fixed. The next one up, Seok-Hyun Ko, Billy Ray Goff. I know people are going to like Billy Ray this weekend. Or next weekend, I'm sorry. But this isn't really a good matchup for him. And when I watched the tape on Ko, he hasn't fought nobody, bro. Like, this dude hasn't fought anybody competent, man. Like, absolutely nobody. So, that's a problem for me. He seems to be a little bit undersized for the division. But Billy's not that big either. You know what I mean? So, I have issues with both guys. But when you look at this matchup, you're going to see it's probably a better matchup for Ko. Now, this could be a shot in the dark because I don't know how good Ko's cardio is. It's going to get fucking tested because Billy Ray's probably going to eat a lot of the shots. And he's probably going to, pressure and land his own shots. Ko, to me, holds the advantage in multiple things here. The wrestling and the striking. I think he's a better striker than Billy. Billy, he's not a great striker. He can be countered easily. You know what I mean? Like I said, Ko has not fought anybody good. So this is, like I said, a little bit of a shot in the dark. But from what I've seen from Ko, he's got this McGregor style where he's got solid counter striking. You know, he's a little bit older. Not much is known about him. But you see the odds makers giving him some sort of respect. I expect a lot of the public to be on Billy Ray Goff. I guess not, because the odds open at 200 and now they're at minus 142. But Ko is actually decent, and the matchup for him is quite good in terms of his, like, Billy Ray can be countered. Obviously, you'll see this number of awesome, but the absorb per minute is there, right? Ko has heavy hands. He's got a good straight left hand. I like the southpaw orthodox, the open stance matchup for Ko. He can make Billy Ray Goff run into something. And also, like I said before, I think he's a better wrestler. You know, it's going to be a live betting spot, right? If Ko wins the first, maybe Billy. It's just going to be on how Ko takes the shots and looks with the cardio, right? That's really what it comes down to. And I don't know, but I think he holds too many advantages in this fight to be an underdog. So I am going to go with Siak Hyun Ko here to get it done. He's 31 years old. I wouldn't say I'm too confident here, especially just because the competition he's faced. But I think he holds advantages in this fight. So we'll go with Ko here and we'll move on. So the co-main event, Mateusz Gamrot taking on Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein plus 135, Gamrot minus 155. I'm going to be honest, I'm going Klein, man. I'm a Klein believer. Not only am I a Klein believer, I think, you know, he wins this fight, and I'm a Mateusz Gamrot non-believer. You cannot go back and watch these last couple of fights for Gamrot and say that these have been good performances, right? The Dos Anjos one sucked, okay? Sure, he got him down. He lost the first round. He nearly got finished by Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos has no gas tank. He's not athletic. He's a good grappler, but there's a point in your career where you're going to be able to get taken down. Now, Gamrot relies on this just endless takedowns, but you look at his resume. Fiziev probably shouldn't have won that fight. You know, Fiziev got hurt. Whatever. He was going to lose that fight for sure. Gamrot lost the first round. Hooker lost the fight. His wins, what is it? Dos Anjos and Jalen Turner. And Jalen Turner, he could have lost that fight too. So Gamrot, to me, and this is why I don't like him, he doesn't do enough to win fights for me, especially against a guy like Klein, who athletic, fast, strong. The grappling takedown defense is extremely good at 91%. I know, like, I talk about this quite a bit when I talk about Ludovic Klein, is the Moises performance. Stellar. No big moments for Moises, right? Beautiful. And the game plan's out on how to beat Mateusz Gamrot. We just saw Dan Hooker do it, pressure and put him on the back foot. Ludovic Klein's going to be able to do that. He has fantastic sprawls. Incredible sprawling ability. He really does. And he can put him on the back foot, and he can hurt Gamrot more than a Dan Hooker can hurt Gamrot, because Ludovic Klein is more explosive than Dan Hooker. He's probably a better striker overall than Dan Hooker. I would think Dan Hooker would beat Klein in a fight, but that's just different matchups. Klein picks his shots extremely well. He's fast as hell. He's powerful. And, I mean, dude, like, you watch some of the takedowns that Moises was, like, in on Klein's hips. I mean, beautiful sprawl. Like, it is textbook. Moises shot perfect takedowns, and Klein stuffed them. You know, every single one of them, and took Moises down on top of that. That was an incredible performance. And last performance, a little bit hairy. You know what I mean? And he does struggle. I feel like Klein struggles with guys that are going to throw out constant volume and throw straight shots. But as you can see here, I don't think Gamrot's going to be doing that, right? He showed improvements in his striking last time, but he had to because he was forced into that kind of fight. If Klein comes out here with steady pressure, not too much, not too little, picks his shots well, hurts Gamrot, I think he wins this fight because he's going to have moments of success. Gamrot might get Klein down, but is he going to be able to make up for these kind of moments where Klein is landing good leg kicks or landing a good straight left, right? It's always a question with Gamrot because Klein's not some bum you can just take down. You know, I know Klein's performance versus Roberts was a little bit hairy, but that's a matchup change. You know what I mean? I believe that was on short notice. I don't remember who Klein was supposed to fight. That was on short notice. So I'm not going to hold him too much against that. Gamrot has not impressed me whatsoever. He's getting up there in age. I think he might be turning 35 or 34 soon, whatever it is. Klein's right in his prime, coming off good, okay performance, but a good performance, an incredible performance before that. I think Klein wins this fight. I think this is the right side. I'm a Ludovic Klein believer, and I think he wins this fight. I just don't ever see Gamrot doing enough to win. If Gamrot wins, it ain't going to be by a fucking finish. So it'll be by a decision, and I can't see Klein not winning 1 round minimum. I think he can finish Gamrot too. I'm going with Klein here. I know, people are going to say, oh, he got finished by a landwehr. I don't care. Klein wins this fight and possibly by a KO. Let's move on to the main event. Aaron Blanchfield, Macy Barber. Aaron is going to be minus 205, and I like that. I think Aaron wins this fight. Macy Barber, heavy hands, brawler, tough, good grappler in her own right. But she's not that good of a grappler. Not as good of a grappler as Blanchfield. And she has not been tested in these 5-round fights. I don't think she's had a 5-round fight. The last fight versus Chikugian didn't impress me, whatsoever. I mean, Chikugian ain't a bad fighter, but she's not great. She's wasn't active at the time. That was like a setup fight for Barber to win, and it wasn't a great performance. I didn't think she looked that good. Barber's got a good clinch game where Aaron's going to want to be. She's got good elbows there, dirty boxing there, good knees there, but she can be bullied in the clinch. Chikugian was bullying her in the clinch, and Barber, she's got good boxing, and we've seen her have success against Hebos and other fighters like that with her hands and her power. But we've also seen Aaron Blanchfield tested against Tyler Santos and take those shots and be able to move forward and fight through adversity, lose 2 rounds to Rose, come back in 3, and go through those, obstacles and win those fights ultimately. Now, she needs to get off to a quick start because Blanchfield, fantastic cardio, good pressure. She's tough. Striking isn't the best and she can be countered, but Barber's not some insane counter striker. She's not going to slip back 1, right, or 2, right? She's not going to do that. She ain't doing that. So, to me, man, it comes down to Blanchfield's pressure. She cannot let, what happened against Rose where she's sitting at range. She needs to come forward and really press the action because she's the fighter with 5-round experience. And Barber can get tired from what I remember seeing. And when Blanchfield's on top, she's got excellent top pressure. Excellent. Her takedowns aren't, groundbreaking, but if she's able to get you down, excellent top pressure from side control. She's got good elbows, good ground and pound. She likes to work those Kimuras in there and the crucifixes. So, you can, I did my little study for this fight. You know what I'm saying? Typically not for women's fight, WMMA, but I did for this one, man. I like Blanchfield here. I like Blanchfield by a submission or a decision. I think that Barber is a good fighter, but I think that Blanchfield's better. She's shown that she can fight through adversity and get hit and come back and be fine. Never seen her rock, never seen her hurt badly. Tyler Santos hit her with some big shots, and Santos hits hard, you know what I mean? So, and that was right after Tyler just barely lost versus Valentina. So that was a huge win for Blanchfield. The Manon-Firo fight is whatever. That's just a hard matchup for Blanchfield. And I don't think that Barber is as good of a striker as Filho. I don't think she has as good of takedowns, defense as Filho. Nowhere near as volume. She's just not even close to Filho, to be honest with you. I like Blanchfield here. So I'm going with Aaron Blanchfield to win this fight by a submission or decision. That's going to wrap it up for me. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next one.